sailboat in the moonlight and June. Wouldn't that be heaven? Oh, heaven just for two. A soft breeze on a June night and June. What a perfect setting for letting dreams come true.
It's the 1st of April and we're 24 days away from the launching of Windover, and it's a bit of a snowy day. Such is life here in Canada. It's freezing out there, and I've got a visitor coming today, so I'm packing it up and heading over to the marina for a bit of work there. As you know, boat ownership is not without its challenges, and we've certainly had a few of them this year. First of all, being the fact that I've undergone some surgery. You might be able to hear a slight difference in my nasal sounds, but it's been a tough slog the last couple of weeks healing up after surgery and right before we're putting the boat in the water, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge this year, and I think we'll get through it because so much has been done already. Now, one of the challenges we also experienced is the fact that when the boat was put up on the hard, somehow we got it bowed down, meaning the forward portion of the boat is lower than the back. And so what happens then is any moisture that comes in through the mast or condensation that builds up on the hull or anything like that ends up in the bilge, but ends up in the forward portion of the bilge, not in the bilge area that we can pump out. So it's meant that there's been more moisture under my floors, and that has caused a situation where my floor hatches are actually difficult to remove. So I've got to get rid of this water and get the cover off and get this boat dried out. So we'll be utilizing a little bit of heat, and we'll be trying to get things dried out so that all the hatches are there so I can access the through hulls, which we need to work on. So the very first area is here. Might be a little dark yet, but you can see this area is normally bone dry, and yet I've got water accumulating here on the floor. So that's going to have to be dealt with now. I'll vacuum that out with our shop vac, and then we've got a surprise visitor coming today. He's going to bring something that we ordered, almost a year and a half ago. So this is Peter Jardine. Peter and I have been friends for, what, 20 odd years now, eh, Pete? Yep. And he's a master woodworker, a wooden boat guy. Not many of you left, eh? So you've built these boards.
And then marked them wrong.
And then marked them wrong.
There we are.
Well, Pete, they look great.
Yeah, they look varnished.
That's perfect. So what is it we're doing, Pete?
All we want to do is we want to mark where that, this has a very simple catch, but it has an angled long piece of bar stock that goes through the So we have to mark where that that goes and get the angle so that when we drill the hole, it's at the right angle relative to this to the doors, because the doors are slanted.
Yeah.
So.
And these doors are made from Iroko?
Iroko, yeah.
Is it Iroko or Iroko?
Iroko.
Iroko.
South American hardwood, very similar to teak. It has, it's not quite as nice as teak to work with because it has a fair amount of run out, so that you get some splintering and things like that when you're working with it. But it's roughly $11 a square foot, or $11.50, and teak now genuine teak is $44.
Oh my goodness. Well,
So
we're going with the Iroko.
yes.
Should we tell our viewers about the first first round?
What happened was I cut it from the pattern, but in fact what happened was that the doors were pretty worn. The old ones were pretty worn, so when I marked, it was just simply too low, and then I tried to correct it. I drilled it straight through, so that meant it was tilted down, and then when I tried to correct it, it was still too low. Like I was literally a quarter of an inch too low.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't correct it without making a hash of the door. So I cut the door in half.
You've actually made a new half for it?
Yeah, I cut it in half and grafted on a new piece, then finished it, and we're back in business. Now I've got the angle with the bevel.
Yeah.
So that's the angle of the
dangle.
The angle of the dangle, and that means that it's not very much of an angle.
No.
But it's enough that this goes through, and then you simply there's a hole in that piece of flat bar, and that's where you put your lock on. And there's a little plate that gets inset on the far side of this. So that was the other thing, is that when it was put in, of course it's in the wrong place, so then that's what messed it up. Anyway,
lots of fun.
Never make these markings on anything but the boat, because making things from a pattern, the pattern is usually worn.
Yeah.
So when the pattern's worn, you're in trouble.
Well, we're never too old to learn, eh, Pete?
Never too old to learn. More, it's really you're never too old to screw up. Yeah. So there's our little mark, and then we won't do it here just because it's got to be drilled on the angle. Plus, you basically have to. They did it on a pin router on the old one, so this time I'm just going to drill little holes, and then I'll cut out this little piece right here and file it out. We'll put the recess for the plate on the outside.
Oh, nice.
And then,
Well, we'll go back to your shop with you, and I'd love to show these folks what you do. Right on. Who's this guy in the photograph here, Pete?
that is, let me think about it for a minute. That's Bob Woodward. Bob Hayward.
Hayward. Oh, Hayward Reach?
Yeah, Hayward Reach.
Really?
That's him. That's an AP wire photo
Yeah.
of him in the Detroit River 10 days before he died.
Really?
Yeah. And if you look at some of the others, there's some other pictures of this super test along here. There's a photograph right there.
He died in the boat?
Yes, it flipped upside down.
Really?
And here's another picture, right there, okay, at Picton, on Hayward Reach, of Miss Supertest. That's another wire photo in 1961. And,
Wow.
yeah, and there's Miss Supertest again. That's on the Detroit River.
So how fast would he go with that boat?
That boat set the world record a couple of times. He'd be going, you know, like a sort of 175 miles an hour.
Really?
That was a Rolls-Royce Griffin, so it was a 2,500 horsepower aircraft engine. And, you know, these boats were sophisticated, but they were, if you look where he is, he's right behind the engine. He's in an open cockpit. The engine blows up and you got a whole bunch of metal parts in your face. It was a very, very dangerous, one of those great, I'm a great lover of statistics, and the water speed record has an 85% fatality rate.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So when a guy sets out to break that,
Yep, he's probably going to die doing it.
he's probably going to die doing it.
Yep.
Isn't that so?
There's another Canadian boat.
Oh, look
Right
at that.
here, the Tempo Alcoa was a joint venture between aluminum company, and that was Guy Lombardo's boat.
Really?
Yep, the band.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
He owned the boat, but he never drove it, obviously.
Yes, he did drive it.
He did.
Yes, he did drive it.
Oh, wow.
Some of the time, yep. And
Pete,
yeah,
you're always interesting, man.
I collected those wire photos over time when they came up on the internet, and they're the original stuff. That some of that stuff came out of the Chicago Tribune wire photo collection when they dispensed of it. So
wow.
and I just bought some cheap frames and put them up in here. But I probably got about 15 of them. I just don't have any wall space.
Yeah.
You know, maybe someday when I get a shop that's about 5 times the size of this one.
Yeah. So there is our door.
Yeah, and it turns out that I can't get it under the drill press, so I'm going to have to do it by eye, but at least now I know not only where the mark is, but I know where the angle is. So, you know, it's not much of an angle. It's only about 8 degrees.
Yeah.
But it's enough that if you drill it straight, but my biggest problem was the last time I had it down here.
Yeah.
Like it was literally just about 3/8 of an inch too low.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter what angle it was just in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And
Well, you needed some practice anyway, didn't you?
well, that's right. Yeah. Practice makes perfect. So there's the piece that I sawed off the top of it, and of course it had.
That makes you sick, doesn't it?
Yeah. But if you look at where it just wasn't in the right place, wasn't the right, and you could make this hole bigger, but the problem is that plate it's not got a very big slot in it.
Yeah, that's right.
So you want to make sure it's in the right place.
Pretty accurate.
And to top it all off, I cut this on the wrong side too. So I had to make another plate, which I made up to put on this side, which isn't a bad thing, but in the end, as I say, it was, so this is where, the inside is, like it's right there. And actually, there's how it can be marked, is that I can now mark that with this piece, but you can see that it was off significantly. In fact, what happened is that the top of that was supposed to be the bottom.
Yeah.
That's how far it was out. So we'll fix that. I can't rush these things either, right?
Are you sure you want to do this, Pete?
Oh yeah. It'll be fun. Like it's as I say, it's helpful, but it's not in the wrong place. So I'm gonna drill one hole here. Basically all I'm gonna do is line up.
Those two, bud. that inserted now.
I think that that's as far as it. I'd rather leave it a little proud than recessed so that it doesn't get. And what you need to do is that take this off and varnish in behind that and seal that up.
Okay.
That's what needs to be done. If you want to take it with you today, that's great. But make sure that you get, and just use a little tiny brush and just dab it.
And I can use the Epiphonus Rapid Clear for that?
Oh yeah, you can use that because it's just sealing it right.
Very nice.
Yeah. And hopefully when you put it on the boat, that thing will slide right through in exactly the right place.
Well.
And if not, you'll just get my answering machine.
So we're going to try that one more time. I've tightened up this little tab so it doesn't sag down so much. And let's have a look. Ta-da! Thanks, Pete. Beautiful job, man. This will be heavily edited.
Talk to me.